Quite possibly the most insane bullshit I have ever heard in my life is this story here. Netflix fires PR chief after use of N-word in meeting. Okay, before I read through this, I just want to point out he did not call anyone a racial slur. He insulted no one. He was simply explaining what words could be offensive and said the N-word. Now, I'm on YouTube. I can't actually say it. And I want to point out the absurdity of that too. Because I had a conversation with Sargon last year about how absurd it is in the US that you can't actually say the word to describe what it is. But it's true. If I say it, YouTube might give me a guideline strike. I might get my channel, punished in some way, so I can't do it. And here we have a story about a guy who was actually fired because he was describing the word. In a lengthy internal memo, CEO Reed Hastings addressed letting go top communications executive Jonathan Friedland. His descriptive use of the N-word on at least 2 occasions at work showed unacceptably low racial awareness and sensitivity. In a memo sent out to Netflix employees, Hastings said, "I've made a decision to let go of Jonathan Friedland. Jonathan contributed greatly in many areas, but his descriptive use of the N-word on at least 2 occasions at work showed unacceptably low racial awareness and sensitivity, and is not in line with our values as a company. The first incident was several months ago in a PR meeting about sensitive words. Several people afterwards told him how inappropriate and hurtful his use of the N-word was, and Jonathan apologized to those that had been in the meeting. We hoped this was an awful anomaly, never to be repeated." Holy shit. He was in a meeting about sensitive words, and he said the word in a descriptive manner, and people complained about it, and this guy's apologizing for it. Welcome to the year 2018, where you can't even describe the word you're not supposed to say. In which case, if someone came here from a foreign country and you went, "Some of the words you're not allowed to say are the N-word," and he goes, "What is that? What's the N-word?" You can't say it. I'm sorry, there's a list of words that will get you fired. I can't tell you what they are though. This reminds me of George Carlin's bit, the 7 words you can never say on TV. Because that was basically it. He was saying these are words you can't even tell people they're not allowed to say, because as soon as you say it, you're in trouble. How insane is this? 3 months later, he spoke to a meeting of our black employees at Netflix Group and did not bring it up, which was understood by many in the meeting to mean he didn't care and didn't accept accountability for his words. So wait, this can't be real. I feel like I'm reading The Onion here, but this is The Hollywood Reporter. Hold on. In a meeting with black employees, he didn't mention that he described the N-word in a meeting several months ago. Why should he? And they're saying because of that, he didn't accept accountability for his words. Oh my God. We've really come this far, haven't we, people? We've really come this far. The second incident, which I only heard about this week, was a few days after the first incident. This time, Jonathan said the N-word again to 2 of our black employees in HR who were trying to help him deal with the original offense. The second incident confirmed a deep lack of understanding and convinced me to let Jonathan go now. Okay. He's in a meeting about sensitive words. He describes the word. People freak out. So he has to go to HR and talk about this. He uses the word again to describe the word. They freak out even more, and now he has been fired. And not only that, but this happened months ago. This guy Hastings apparently didn't find out about this until now, that a guy didn't know you aren't allowed to say a word to describe the word. Wow. Going forward, we are always going to find ways to educate and help our employees broadly understand the many difficult ways that race...
So I've challenged the idea that the free speech movement is a generic free speech movement like the Berkeley movement of the 1960s, which they reference a great deal. The Berkeley free speech movement in the 60s was not just about the right of white liberal men to speak. The Berkeley free speech movement had a lot to do with the civil rights movement overall, at least the 1960s version. The modern free speech movement is not fighting for the right of Black Lives Matters, which is a speech movement, no matter what they tell you about Black Lives Matter being a terrorist organization or a racial supremacy black nationalist organization. If you were a true free speech advocate, you would not spend your time talking about the threat of BLM in every video. If you are a true free speech advocate, you would not be bitching about the menace of pride parades, because that's free speech. You would not be bitching about the Antifa movement, which is a protest movement. Antifa is a terrorist organization. Let me explain something to you. If Antifa was a terrorist organization, they would be like ISIS, where there would be a wing of people who specifically organized to assassinate people and to set bombs off and kill civilians. Just because there are Antifa who have participated in rioting or property destruction does not make them, and again, random property destruction. They didn't plan to go and destroy specific political targets. They didn't go and tear down City Hall. Antifa who were just having a spicy day, breaking a window at Starbucks, is not the same as ISIS running up and blowing up a military base. So no, Antifa, particularly in the United States, is not a terrorist organization. They are a speech movement. You may not like the tone of their speech. You may not like the structure of their protests. You may feel that those protests escalate to hooliganism or vandalism too much. You can make all those critiques if you want. But to say that you're a free speech activist and you want to have Antifa categorized as a terrorist organization and marginalized the way that you would marginalize ISIS means that you don't really care about free speech. The free speech movement as it exists now is about white male, predominantly white male grievance. In a broader sense, it's about white liberals and some white conservatives, male and female and gay, meaning it's not the free speech movement is not the alt-right movement. There is some crossover because a component of the free speech movement is there's like a Venn diagram, because since the free speech movement is mostly about the rights of white people to talk, privileged people to talk, then there's obviously going to be crossover with the alt-right because they want to hear them out, because that's part of their ethos is don't tell white people to shut up. That's the real, and this includes all the Jewish people in the internet, the intellectual dark web. Those Jewish people are within the realms of academia and suburbia, are effectively white people. So what you have is a situation where don't tell Dave Rubin that he can't be pro-Israel. Don't call out Dave Rubin. That was actually what took Dave Rubin out of the Young Turks, was that he was a reactionary in favor of Israel, and was defending the atrocities being committed against the Palestinians. In reference to the clip I put here by Tim Pool, Tim Pool has, again, and I the second I heard about this Netflix executive, I knew that it would go the James Damore, Lindsay Shepard route of this person is now this person who was fired from his job for saying the N-word during a meeting about publicity, about public relations for Netflix. This guy was one of their PR managers, and he said, you don't use the N-word, but he didn't say the word. He didn't say N-word. He said the word. Do I think it should be illegal for people to say the N-word? No, it shouldn't be illegal for people to say the N-word. Do I think that a company policy, a company that wants to be inclusive, should make it a fireable offense in the workplace to use a racial slur regardless of how you use it? It shouldn't leave your mouth in the workplace. It's just basic decorum, basic civility. Just like you would not use, you wouldn't use gendered slurs in a meeting about sexual harassment. You know, just because you were supposedly citing an example, because that's the number one argument that people like Tim Pool are coming up with. Oh, he just said the word in a descriptive sense. Well, I mean, again, the policy is not to say the word, not how you say the word. There is no way that white people should be saying the N-word. They're either describing the N-word or, at least in a workplace setting, you should not, a black coworker shouldn't have to hear that word come out of your mouth. And if they do, which in this case, people did complain. It wasn't just pearl clutching. There were employees that went to management and said, look, this guy dropped an N-bomb. And the HR department pulled the guy out. They said that you dropped the N-bomb. And he was, yeah, I dropped the N-bomb, N-bomb, N-bomb. So when he got held accountable by HR for like, yo, dude, don't drop the word. Everybody knows you can use the N-word, meaning like you can use that phrase, the N-word, to stand in for the actual N-word, and people will be fine with it. Again, in the workplace. You know what I mean? Like, do I think people should say the N-word out in public? No. I mean, again, it's disgusting. It's basic decorum for that word to not leave your lips. But in public, I'm not saying people should be locked up for it. Because I'm an anarchist. I'm an anarchist, and I don't believe, we already have a fucking mass incarceration problem without locking up random assholes. And again, if I know anything about the legal system and the way that cops enforce laws, more black people would get locked up for using the N-word than white people. So we don't want to give any pretenses to the prison industrial complex to start locking up more black people. So Tim Pool, as part of this free speech for white people movement, immediately loses his shit and cries blood for this innocent white oligarch, this wealthy Netflix executive, who felt that he had the right, because that's what this is about. I explained this to someone on Twitter the other day. This is about having the right to say something, and white people have been very butthurt over the fact that they are no longer supposedly allowed to use the N-word. Well, you're allowed to use it legally. There's no speech laws in the United States of America, but this is again the right to escape reproach. It's the idea of don't criticize me. Don't make me use again, this is the Jordan Peterson stuff. Don't make me use your pronouns. Don't impose that on me. Don't shove that down my throat. If I want to misgender you, I'll misgender you. Because it's my right, because I'm a white person. I've always had the right to spit on marginalized people. What do you mean I can't? White people don't like being told to shut up. Sometimes you should just shut up. Sometimes, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes you're not the right person to speak on a subject. I know you've been taught by society that everybody should listen to you at all times. As a legacy of apartheid laws, is that you have some kind of special talent. You have some kind of special insight on people's issues. But sometimes you should shut up and mind your business and not tell black people their own stuff. Stop. There's nothing more of an annoying stereotype than the white person who walks up to the black person and says, let me tell you about, why slavery is wrong and shit. Like, you got to be careful what kind of language you use. And then again, I've mentioned on the channel before that good boundaries make good allies. The entire intellectual dark web is predominantly the chief figures in the IDW are disaffected liberals who want to be politically correct, meaning that they want to be able to use language that people in marginalized groups find dehumanizing and alienating, while still participating in movements towards supposed equality and stuff like that. They want to participate in the gay movement, but say the F-bomb. They want to participate in BLM, but they want to be the one to speak. You know what I'm saying? This is Occupy Wall Street all over again, where white males are like hogging the microphone too much. So if I have one sort of takeaway from this Tim Pool video is, you can count on the members of the free speech movement to jump to the defense of a very specific kind of speech for a very specific type of person.